Hello, hello. Let me do a tag. Let me do a tag. This is a Steve Donoghue original where he is nosy about our personal lives and indulges our egomaniacal desire to talk about ourselves. So I will indulge myself and him. This is the books and life tag. And let's just do the prompts. Number one, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a normal person, that being a non-reader, according to Steve, and 10 being the late Harold Bloom, how much are books and reading a part of your life? Well, Steve classifies himself as a 9, which makes me think between 9 and 10 there must be no discernible difference because he and Harold Bloom I heard an interview with Harold Bloom. Okay, Harold Bloom might have an edge. Harold Bloom might be an 11, and Steve Donoghue is like a 10 on a 1 to 10 scale. Where am I at? Where am I at? You know, I'm like maybe a 5 or 6. I was probably a 5 before BookTube, just in normal civilian life, but definitely being on BookTube has probably increased the amount that I actually think about books and how much I kind of devote my life to reading and thinking about the books I read. So let's say, this is a good subset thing of like, what were you before BookTube and what are you now? And it's like, okay, I was a 5 or 6 sort of, maybe I was a 5 or 6 and now I'm like probably more up into like a 7, I guess, of being on that being how much books are part of my life. It's not a professional part of my life, so I guess I could never reach the heights of Olympus. Maybe that just makes me a 6 then. Maybe I'm just a 6 because I'm still just a dabbler. Yeah, okay, 6. Long and drawn out working out of these things. Number 2, where does your personal library stand right now in relation to the rest of your life? Did you have more books now than you ever have? Fewer? How has your library changed? I think I've talked about this in the past. And my last move, I shed probably about half or more of the books that I had. I had a ton of books, and I felt like it was a real dead library. I felt like it was a library of books that like I had read, stuff I'd read, and then I was like, I hadn't read, I had not touched again for like 10 years. So I got rid of all those books, probably 5 years, and then just looked at books and am I ever going to read this? Am I going to read this within the next 5 years? And if I wasn't going to do that, I got rid of them. So it's this right here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, half, 4.5, 5.5, 6 bookcases. So it's a lot smaller than it was before. And how it's changed is that cull was really good because I knocked out stuff that I just had, but I wasn't going to read. And those books really bothered me. And I would say that I could confidently say that the books I have now are books that I'm actually either really am going to read, or are books that I have read, and for whatever reason I've decided I'm going to hold on to this because I think I really would reread it or something. I mean, I can probably still do more culling. I think I can always cull more. So yeah, that's how my library has changed, and I do try and kind of get stuff out that like once I've read something, it's like I'm not going to read this again. I try and get it out. I try not to just hold on to stuff. Take number 3, take a mental step back and ask yourself, what is most likely the first bookish impression a newcomer would have in your home? Well, like outside of this room, I don't keep my books outside of this room. So they would have to come to this room to know that I was a reader, I guess. We don't have, I mean, I've always got a book on the kind of the side table, but I don't have big stacks of books elsewhere. I've culled it and I've kept it down enough that I've been able to I keep it in this room. So if they're allowed in this room, they'll see that I'm a very cluttered person who has a lot of books, I guess. If they were to look at my books, they would see that I'm not gigantically organized. I've got things double stacked, like I've got two layers back. That it's I'm primarily a fiction reader, going between kind of fantasy, science fiction, and a lot of literature. that I've got like kind of my working stacks. I do have working stacks. I think Steve talked about how like he had stuff that like this is stuff that he was actually using at the moment. And I've definitely it's funny I've got a certain couple of piles here which are definitely my working stacks of reading. Like it's like 20 or 30 books which are these are the active books at the moment which I kind of want right out where I have and I don't put them back particularly in a bookshelf. So it's as much as this is my hobby, that the work of my hobby is out presented. But yeah, outside of this room, they wouldn't really know that I'm a reader. Um, Number 4, how often, if ever, gulp, do you clean or reorganize your books? I never clean my books. Yeah. Steve talked about kind of mildew and bugs and dust and stuff like that. I mean, a part of it is I'm probably a slob, but I think there's enough slow shifting that does happen every once in a while. Every once a year, it'll get into my mind to reorganize, to kind of tame the beast that kind of grows, and to try and kind of put it back in a little bit of order after a year of mismanagement. So yeah, that's sort of my bookish regime that way. It reflects much of the rest of my life. Number 5, how many books do you acquire in a given week? And I read very slowly. I have a lot of books here to read. I'm doing BookTube Spin where it's been great because it's like, okay, I have a pile of 20 books in my library that I have not read. Spin the wheel. Let's knock one of those off, and slowly doing that. So I don't buy a ton of books. I just went back to a new bookstore last week, Boland's Books. I didn't mention it in the video. Very, very poor show for me. Boland's Books of Victoria, BC, and did some shopping there and actually picked up a couple of books. But that's like physical books. That the books before that was The Mirror and the Light by Hilary Mantel, the March of the year of 2020 before that, which this is an odd time, but I really don't buy a lot of physical books. Ebooks though, I buy fair number of ebooks. We'll go with like once a month. I'm sure to have bought a book. I've had a bit of a splurge lately. I've bought 2 physical books, and maybe we'll go with 2. Okay, so like half a book each week, maybe going for like 1, 2 like 2 books a month. So yeah, half a book a week, and I still can't catch up. I also do a lot of reading from the library of audiobooks and stuff like that. So that also keeps down my thing. I don't usually get physical books from the library because I'm such a slow reader, and it's usually like I'm never going to get. There's a lot of books I just would never ever get through in the lending amount of time that they want. I'm not comfortable holding on to books where faster readers than me should be getting them out of the library and being able to zoom through them really quickly and then get them on to the next person. Number 6 in the more random thing. What song is your current earworm? That would be Beautiful Girl by Robin Hitchcock from his 1990 album I, which, the 90s probably kind of typifies exactly how a dude my age would be getting his earworms from. It's like, I'm in love with a beautiful girl. I'm in love with a beautiful girl. And I'm a charming and dangerous guy. I'll leave a link to him down below so you can get that stuck in your head as well. A very eccentric English singer-songwriter, morose, very surreal kind of dude. The Beautiful Girl is his most probably straightforward song that you would ever find from him. Number 7. What percentage of your self-control do you retain in a well-stocked bookshop? And I think he's kind of going for like, stuff like for Steve, it's like we're talking the Brattle, we're talking gigantic, the Meccas, which my heartbeat is already going up for. And, I think like, Powell's Bookstore on my side of the continent, or, just amazing any secondhand bookstore. I definitely am someone who's like, Jean knows, okay, we're going to set the thing for an hour. I'll come back in an hour. And by then you're done. Right. And I'll have I could spend the whole day in there, but yeah, okay, we'll go for an hour. We'll go for an hour. Um, Probably 60. I've only got, well, no, 60-40, where I've only got like, well, where am I at? It's tough because now I'm not acquiring books. At the present moment, I'm probably 60% in control, whereas in olden days I was probably more like 40% in control and would come away with 20 or 30 books, of which I'm probably still reading. I've got some of them still in my reread my pile to read 20 years later. So I have that in my mind I am very conscious of exactly how much I can consume, and though still get enthusiastic for buying books. Now it's, of course, it's online stuff, or the many ebooks that are in the electronic device here. Number 8, do you ever feel the need to take a break from books? If so, what form does it take? I mean, I read constantly. I read every single day. At different points of the day, I'm feeling like doing different things. So yeah, I will watch movies. I'll watch TV. I will go for walks with my puppies. I gotta mention that in a Steve Donoghue thing. It's like I've got dogs to walk, and that definitely is a break from the reading regime, or actually spending time with loved ones. I actually really enjoy that as well. So it's the hopefully, if you're a healthy reader, you're somebody who does find a balance of between reading and the other wonderful things in life. Reading books is definitely a wonderful thing in my life, but it's further enriched by having all the other stuff around that: friends, family, and loved ones, and also working and making a living, and whatever kind of chiseling out whatever reason to be on this planet that you can find. Number 9, when you meet a new person, how long does it take you to bring up books? Decades. I never bring up books to people, outside of like, thing like, people at work. I think, some of them have an inkling that, yes, I read, but it's not something that I talk to very much with coworkers. Some of whom I know read a little bit, read a bit, but it's just, yeah, it's not really something I really would bring up. Number 10. Have you given any thought, made any provisions for your personal library after you croak? I'm trying to collect some boxes so that when I do croak, that whatever loved ones around can drop them into cardboard boxes and haul them off to Value Village. And that will be my great literary bequest, is a big dump of books to Value Village, our local thrift shop. Yeah, that's I don't expect anything to be treasured or anything. They're just books. And they'll get passed on to somebody else. Donate them, let somebody else read them. But I don't have anything else reason why anyone around me would treasure the things that I treasure so much, and you can pass them along to other people who do treasure them more. So yeah, that seems like the best idea. Number 11. Are you known among your friends and loved ones for your weird and probably unhealthy relationship with books? I definitely got a lot of grief from parents when I was young, because all I wanted to do was be inside reading, and they're always kicking me outside. And to a certain degree, that was okay, because I also developed a love of walking in the woods and doing all that sort of stuff. So that wasn't necessarily all that bad. I also stayed up all night when I was a teenager and just read all through the night and just slept through school during the day, which was probably less healthy. But man, it was way more pleasant to read books at night, science fiction books and Conan books at night, than it was to suffer the slings and arrows of dreadful high school and stuff like that. But my loved ones do know that. For friends, I've got work acquaintances. I don't really have much in the way of friends. My work acquaintances are vaguely aware. Probably, well, they're not aware. Like I never told them about this channel. That would be that would be that would be horrendous to me. That would be crossing the streams. So no one, no, not they don't know. The co-workers know vaguely that maybe I read, but they, not reading at the job. Because I'm a support worker, there's no such thing as a lunch hour or any break in the middle of my shift. You get to your shift and you work all the way through. You work all the way through dinner, and you work all the way to the end. And you know, if you there's so it's not like I can demonstrate my reading prowess at work. So or have any free time there to do anything. So that's just not how that kind of a job is structured. So yeah, no, they don't. But my loved ones do. And I'm married to a wonderful Ja who is definitely a reader as well, but would probably be somewhere more in the, well, not normal. If normal is a non-reader, she's definitely not normal, thank goodness. But she's definitely somebody who also enjoys reading and stuff like that. So we get along quite well that way, which is nice to have in a relationship. All right. Steve, if you're watching, that's that. Hopefully that satisfies your curiosity on my book and life for the moment, until you find you've come up with more questions. But they're always fun, and it's always really interesting. I make fun of Steve for being curious about my life, or, well, not my life in particular, but being so curious about everybody else's lives. But when this tag came out, that's what I was doing, is watching everybody else's version of it. And it's really interesting to see what people have to say in this tag. All right, I'm melting. It's not super hot heat wave here, but this room with all the lights that I need to actually not appear incredibly grainy are melting me. So I'm going to go off and do a barbecue with those said loved ones, where we probably won't talk about books. More videos later.